Okay, today we have the ram in the thicket ornament. December 7th says, God provides. Today's reading. Sometime later, God tested Abraham. He said to him, Abraham. Here I am, he replied. Then God said, take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on the mountain I will show you. Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and placed it on his son Isaac, and he himself carried the fire and the knife. As the two of them went together, Isaac spoke up and said to his father Abraham, Father? Yes, my son, Abraham replied. The fire and the wood are here, Isaac said, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham answered, God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. And the two of them went together. When they reached the place God had told him about, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. Here I am, he replied. Do not lay a hand on the boy, he said. Do not do anything to harm him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son. Abraham looked up, and there in the thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over and took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called that place, the Lord will provide. Genesis 22, 1 and 2, and verses 6 through 14. It is a thing to call a place, the Lord will provide. It is a thing to name the place where you live, provision. To name the place you call home, the Lord will provide. To take your tired hand and turn the knob of that front door marked provide and step right into the widening vista of Advent and find that the literal translation of to provide means to see. God always sees, and he always will see to it. That is all that ever matters. God always sees. He will always see to the matter. Your legs may be weary, and your heart may be heavy, and your questions may be many. But whatever you are facing, it is always named Mount Moriah. The Lord will appear. The Lord sees, and he will see to it. And he will be seen. The act of God seeing means God acts. God's observing means he always serves. This is the thing. Your God's constant vision is your constant provision. You don't need to climb mountains named I will perform. You don't need to climb mountains named I will produce. Every mountain that every Christian ever faces, the Lord levels with sufficient grace. The Lord will provide. This is what Abraham knows. You can see it in the way he obeys, unafraid and unquestioningly. The way he walks unhurried and unworried. The way he lives. Worry is a belief gone wrong because you don't believe that God will get it right. Peace is belief that exhales because you believe that God's provision is everywhere, like air. In the thin air of Advent, you may not even know how to say it out loud. I thought it would be easier, and your God comes near. I will provide the way. You may not even know who to tell. I thought it would be different, and your God draws close. I will provide grace for the gaps. You may not even know how to find the words for it. I thought it would be more, and your God reaches out. I will provide me. God gives God, and that gift of God is always ultimately gives. Because nothing is greater, and we have no greater need. God gives God. God gives God, and all we only need to do is slow long enough to unwrap the greatest gift with our time. Time in his word, time in his presence, time at his feet. In this moment, in this middle of midwinter, in the dark of your very thickest thicket, there is the rough bark of that tree. And there you can feel it, the whitened wool of your willing lamb. You can feel the willing pulse of his warm heart. Advent is the time to see the tree in your thicket and whisper the echoing words of your God. Now I know. Now I know. Since you did not spare your only Son, how will you also not graciously give us, even me, all things you know I need? Romans 8:32. Now I know. Now I know, because you have not withheld from me your Son, your only Son. Now I know you love me. How he always has a ram in the thicket. How he always provides this bleeding love calling you home. Unwrapping more of his love in the world. Write down 10 different ways God has provided for you today, gift upon gift. Slip your piece of paper under your Jesse tree. Thank God for being Jehovah Jireh in all ways. And the quote today is from Corrie ten Boom and says, "Who can add to Christmas? The perfect motive is that God so loved the world. The perfect gift is that he gave his only Son. The only requirement is to believe in him. The reward of faith is that you shall have everlasting life." A moment for reflection questions are: when do you feel the pressure to perform and to produce? Name the ways God has provided grace for the gaps in your life. Take a moment to thank God for the ultimate gift of salvation. And that is so timely for me, especially with our Awana Christmas and everything coming up this week, and having have damage to the van done last night, and just other things that have come up. And God's good in his timing, especially with messages he wants us to get through to our heads, and God always provides. So with that, Talia, we're back to you. You can put the ram ornament on our tree. All right, that's it for tonight. As always, keep your focus on Jesus.